Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast. I'm Ryan Wormeli, joined for this short-form video by Pat Fitzmaurice and by Jake Ciely of The Athletic. Guys, we are talking boom or bust running backs. Quick reminder before we jump in, this month, if you want a chance to win a signed George Pickens Steelers jersey for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you have to do is subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now, drop a comment below on any video, and that is it. We will be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure to turn on those notifications so you can know when new videos are up and to claim your prize. Yes, we know it's just the jersey we have. I know he's not in the Steelers anymore. It is what it is. Try and win it. You get it for free, so that's still pretty cool. George Pickens, Steelers jersey. All right, guys, we've got a couple of running backs each. Just talking some boomer bust guys, and if we're interested in them or not this season. Fitz, we'll start off with you. Who's your first boomer bust running back?
It's the ultimate boomer bust running back, Worm. It's Christian McCaffrey, who was the consensus 101 in 2024 fantasy drafts and was a Hindenburg level disaster for whoever took him. The risk is obvious. Like, he played 4 games last year. Over his 10-year career, there have been 4 seasons where McCaffrey played 7 or fewer games, and now he's 29 years old. But the potential rewards are so great with McCaffrey. He is 2 years removed from having more than 2,000 yards from scrimmage and 21 touchdowns. He's in a Kyle Shanahan offense, and Shanahan has shown a proclivity to feed him tons of targets, tons of carries. If McCaffrey is healthy, he is going to smash. But I think your willingness or unwillingness to draft CMC should probably depend on where you are in your league's food chain. Like, if you're a shark swimming with fish, do you really want to risk a first-round pick on a player with such a checkered medical history? But if your league is teeming with sharks, like, it might be worth the risk to you, because a healthy season out of McCaffrey would give you a spear gun to deal with those sharks.
I almost see it differently, Fitz. On that philosophical point, I feel like if I consider myself to be the shark in this scenario, I'm more willing to take on the risk because I have a lot more faith that I will make up for it if it doesn't work out later on in the draft and on the waiver wire.
I guess, but that would be like a, not having a dorsal fin to swim around and hunt fish with, Worm. So that would be a pretty big disadvantage. But I don't know. For me, he's a boom. He's my RB5. I initially had him lower in my rankings this offseason, but I have moved him up just knowing what the potential reward is with McCaffrey.
Yeah, Jake, hard to get more of a boomer bust than the last 2 seasons. RB1, RB72.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think I thought Fitz was going to say, because he'd been doing shows with me, that he moved him up, because I have Christian McCaffrey at RB4. I've had him at RB4. I'm going to keep him at RB4. The crazy thing is, even pulling back the season 2 years ago that Fitz is talking about, 340, almost, I think it was 339 in touches. Even if you pull that back to about 320 over 17 games, that was in 16 games, which I did my projections. I'm like, all right, maybe he's still Christian McCaffrey, but Shanahan says, all right, I just don't need to kill him. Maybe I'll pull back 5%, 10%. He still checks in projections wise as, guess what? RB1, just because he's Christian McCaffrey, on a per touch basis, which is pulled back from 2 years ago, on the touchdown rate, which is pulled back from 2 years ago. Like, I pulled all those numbers back, and he still checks in with a gap over Gibbs at number 2 in projections. Again, I'm not taking him there. I'm still taking Bijan, Barkley, and Gibbs. But the upside is enormous, and the upside is RB1 if he even plays 16 games.
So top 5 running back, and just quickly, because this is a shorter episode, is he a first-round pick for you then, Jake?
Back end of the first round every single time.
Back end of the first. Fitz, is he a first-round pick for you too, or trying to wait till the second?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to wait till the second, but he's right around that 1-2 turn for me.
Okay. Let's go to the next running back here. Jake, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go Ashton Jeanty, just because I think that we all know the workload should be similar to Christian McCaffrey. We're talking about somebody who should walk into a workload like Bijan Robinson. But I think Bijan Robinson is a good litmus test for the risk of a rookie running back in what we think should be a fine situation and what we think should be bell cow-ish work. And that, yes, he had Tyler Algier, and I don't think anybody on the Raiders is of the Tyler Algier ilk. But that being said, is my bigger concern for Jeanty is, as great as he is as a pass catcher, is how much does he see in the passing game? You're talking about Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Jack Besh. There's early talk about Thornton and all the rest. There's just a lot of options here from Geno where I don't know that Jeanty walks into rookie 60, 70 targets. And also we have to acknowledge the schedule. Like the schedule gets overrated, but you do have to acknowledge it a little bit. For running backs specifically, it is one of the tougher on paper schedules. Mostly facing the Chiefs twice in a year is going to be a big death knell to a lot of running backs, as we saw last year. But I just think that Jeanty, for what he is, I'm excited as anybody else is. He's one of the best running backs to come out since Barkley, since Ezekiel Elliott, and that should be the potential for him. But I think that he's more of a back-end RB1 for me than mid-first round, where like a lot of people want to take him. And honestly, I would still take a few running backs this year, including Jacobs' workload, Derrick Henry, even Achane in the conversation. And then I would think about Jeanty kind of in the conversation with like a Bucky Irving and Chase Brown.
Fitz, what's the non-injury downside to Jeanty this year?
Boy, I don't know that there is one. I'm a firm believer in the talent. I think the line is good enough. I think, it's a Pete Carroll coach team, and Chip Kelly has always like had a balanced offense. What I love is that Chip Kelly has always run his offense at a breakneck pace. So like he is going to operate quickly. That's going to mean more plays per game for the Raiders. It's going to mean like an advantage at the margins with Jeanty, who's going to get more touches out of that. Like, I think he's really good. And, by the way, Jake, that, 2 games for the Raiders against the Chiefs. One is in week 18 though. Okay. So you only really have to worry about one.
That's true.
Everybody can join our Fantasy Pros Discord community and chat with other fans and get access to exclusive AMAs that wind up on our podcast feed. Here's our current schedule. Myself and Fitz at 5 Eastern on the first Tuesday of every month. Then Boggs and Fitz on 5 Eastern on the third Tuesday of each month. Come get your questions answered and be on the show. That's at fantasypros.com/chat to join our Fantasy Pros Discord community. Fitz, who's your second running back here?
Isiah Pacheco, who fractured his fibula early last season. He was back 2.5 months later, but upon his return, he just was not the same guy. He couldn't take the lead running back job away from Kareem Hunt, and there's no way Pacheco was anything close to 100% after he came back from a broken leg in under 3 months. This is a guy who was being drafted in the mid to late second round last year, and now you can get him in the 7th or 8th. And in a backfield that includes Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, Brashard Smith, I still think Pacheco is probably the best running back the Chiefs have. And the Kansas City offense is going to be somewhere from good to great. Pacheco's 2 seasons removed from being a high-end RB2 in fantasy points per game, and now you can draft him as a mid-range RB3. So for me, I know about a giant boom, but he's a small boom for me.
Yeah, I had Pacheco so high last year. He's definitely in I think he was inside like my top 6 running backs going into the season, which is, I'm like afraid to go back and look and see exactly where I had him. But I was really excited about him. Was it you, Fitz, or somebody on a recent show that posed the question of if he hadn't come back at the end of the year, where would we be ranking him? If he got hurt and he missed the year, but now it's been a year since he came back and we're all kind of assuming something closer. Like if we hadn't seen him come back at not full strength. I forget who it was that mentioned it on a show, but I thought it was a great point.
Yeah, I did not pose that hypothetical question, but it's a really good one. He would be drafted much higher than he is now.
Yeah. Jake, what do you think about Pacheco?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest concern is what is his health? Like, as in his health post-injury. Like, is he the Pacheco we knew? Is he the Pacheco now? Is he looking in the fact that, is he going to be anything in the passing game? And I bring up Brashard Smith as a late round flyer in a lot of these shows, mostly because we've seen the Jerick McKinnon on this team and top 20 value. Like, they're not only afraid to use the running back out of the backfield, they will use the pass catching running back of that ilk when they have some talent to even run at the goal line. So is Pacheco going to get all that work on top of the Kareem Hunt situation? So I think the upside is if he gets 65% of the workload on the Chiefs, the rushing touchdown potential, obviously probably back inside the top 20. But the risk is this is a complete committee. And I don't mean timeshares in 2 pieces. I mean committees and there's a third piece involved. And then this is all hell breaks loose.
Last player here, Jake, who you got?
Yeah, this one's interesting to me. I think that this risk needs to be baked into his cost more. And I don't even mean the potential trade for Breece Hall. I just think Breece Hall on the Jets is a risk in and of himself. Talk about it last year. They drafted 2 running backs with plenty of talent. I thought Isaiah Davis was one of the bigger sleepers in last year's draft class. And this is somebody who just finished being RB 18. You add Justin Fields. And if you look at Justin Fields, his best, and I put that in quote, best season and a half, season and 2/3 with the Bears is, I'm not saying they're going to copy the Bears, but you look at the usage in the backfield and you're hoping somebody gets touchdowns because some of that was split, but I don't think that we're going to see Breece Hall get 70% of this workload if he still is on the Jets. And then on top of that, is he the goal line option or is it Braylon Allen? And then you look at that because Justin Fields is going to, if he plays a full season, he's going to run for 7, 8, 9 touchdowns. He's not as low as Lamar Jackson. He's not as high as Josh Allen in the rushing touchdown department. He's right in that middle range, but those are touchdowns to potentially take away. And what has seemed to work next to Justin Fields has been kind of more of that thumper when they get to the goal line to offset Justin Fields. All that being said, Breece Hall can be that guy. Breece Hall can be the clear lead and get 60% of the work. But at RB13, I have him more as a back-end RB2 just because I think there's a lot of bust potential with this. And again, that's even before I bring up the potential that he could get traded and in a timeshare situation somewhere else that we've all started getting rumors about lately.
This was one of the names on the short list, and we were putting together this outline. You guys were going to provide the name, not me, but this was one of the first names that jumped to mind when I was thinking about guys that we'd be talking about. Fitz, what are you doing with Hall this year?
Fading for all the reasons Jake said, plus a few more. One is that new head coach Aaron Glenn just keeps talking about wanting to have a committee. Like he's just openly saying he wants to use all 3 of his backs. So like, why would we not believe him in that? Breece Hall just doesn't seem to have workhorse potential if Aaron Glenn can be taken at face value. The other thing, and Jake touched on this with Justin Fields, like related to the touchdown count, like Breece Hall, part of the value is his pass catching ability. Like he's really good at it. He's put up some great pass catching numbers, but we know that running quarterbacks tend not to throw to their backs as much as pocket quarterbacks do. In Justin Fields' best season as a passer, 2022 with the Bears, Bears running backs and fullbacks combined for 46 catches that year. Like every running back and fullback on the team, 46 catches. So I don't see a 60 catch season in Breece Hall's future in 2025.
Breece Hall or James Cook this year, Fitz?
I think I've got Cook. No, I've got Hall one spot higher, but I'm not totally sold on that.
Cook.
How about Hall?
Cook for you, Jake?
Yeah, Cook.
How about Hall or Kyron Williams?
Kyron
for
both of you. Okay, so right in that range. Kyron's RB11 in ECR. Hall's
if you didn't see me
RB13.
smiling, by the way, it's because I was leaving like that little nugget at the end, and Fitz kind of took it. The highest targets for a running back when he was back there was 40 targets for a running back. So there you go.
That's wild. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap up there. Thanks everybody for checking out this shorter video on our boom or bust running backs. For Jake and Fitz, I'm Ryan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.